Hello, students. This is a class for BA Part 2nd English Literature students. I am Dr. Anil Dadij, and we will be reading a poem by William Cooper. The title of the poem is On Receipt of My Mother's Picture. Let us talk about the poet and the poem. Here are some bullets. William Cooper is considered to be one of the greatest precursors to Romantic poetry. He was a gentle, sensitive, and deeply religious poet, which we will come across in the poem also. This particular poem, On Receipt of My Mother's Picture, is one of his best. And as the title suggests, it is a poem on his lost mother. Cooper lost his mother when he was only 6 years old. And when he was 58 years old, he received a portrait of his mother as a gift from his cousin, Mrs. Anne Bodham, who lived in Norfolk, England. This present made him intensely emotional, and he happened to write this beautiful poem. This poem immortalized the poet, and the poet in the poem claims to immortalize the memories of his mother. It is considered as an affectionate tribute to his mother. The poem is remarkable for its sincere emotion, directness of expression, and childlike simplicity, as well as for its pathos. What is pathos? Pathos is a literary term which means the quality which touches the feelings or which excites emotions such as pity and sorrow. So you will find a very simple description, a very childlike expression, and you will find pathos as the poem, as the title suggests. It is a very sensitive kind of theme that the poet embarks upon. He is very emotional to see the portrait of his mother, and he writes the poem. So let us read the poem On Receipt of My Mother's Picture by William Cooper. Oh, you just imagine that the poet is standing before the portrait of his mother, and he simply talks to the painting. I read the poem and I'll explain it to you. Oh, that those lips had language. The poet wishes that the lips of his mother had language. Actually, pictures do not speak, but he wishes if the portrait had lips that had language also. Life has passed with me but roughly. Life has passed with the poet very roughly since I heard the last. Since I heard the last means when the mother died. And the mother died when he was only 6 years old, so you can imagine how the poet must have felt in his life after that. Those lips are thine. He focuses his attention to the lips. Thy own sweet smiles I see. The poet sees the sweet smile of his mother, the same, the same smile that oft means often, in childhood solaced me. Solaced me means relaxed me, calmed me down, or comforted me. Voice only fails. On these lips, only voice is not there, else means otherwise. How distinct they say. Distinct means clear. How clearly they say, If the lips had language, if the lips had the power to say, the poet imagines, the poet feels that they seem to say, the lips seem to utter these words. Grieve not, my child. Grieve not means do not be sad, do not lament, do not weep, do not cry, my child. Chase all thy fears away. Make your fears run away, fly away. This is the kind of consolation that a mother can give to her child. The meek intelligence of those dear eyes. Now the poet focuses on the eyes. The meek intelligence. Meek means delicate, very soft kind of intelligence. Here, intelligence means the eyes express such an emotion that that seems to understand the condition of the child. So, the meek intelligence of those dear eyes, the eyes are capable to understand the child. Blessed be the art. And within inverted commas, the poet seems to bless, to, you can say, pray and feel very grateful. Blessed be, he prays that blessed be the art that can immortalize. We see the poet wants to communicate the superiority of the art. Art can immortalize things. So he says, why? How can art immortalize? Because when something is turned into a piece of art, it becomes timeless. And in this manner, the art can immortalize the art that baffles time's tyrannic claim to quench it. The art, we human beings are mortal, we die. But once the face of the mother is portrayed in the painting, it becomes immortal. Even after the mother, the portrait is there, the face is there. So he says the art that baffles, baffles means defeats, time's claim, time's tyrannic claim. Claim means dawa, time's tyrannic claim. Tyrannic means tanasha, means the bold claim to quench it. Time quenches. Quench here refers to destroy it, end it. टाइम सब कुछ समाप्त कर देता है, समय सब कुछ नष्ट कर देता है, लेकिन द पोएट सेज कि वंस changed into, transformed into a piece of art, it becomes immortal. So he says, the meek intelligence of those dear eyes here shine on me, still the same. The affectionate understanding of the mother's eyes, the poet feels, still shine in the same manner. Faithful remembrance, sir, of one so dear. The painting is a faithful remembrancer, one which remembers, which is capable to remember Kisko, one so dear, the mother who is so dear to the poet. Oh, welcome guest. The guest here refers to the painting. Oh, welcome guest, though unexpected here. Although the poet did not expect the painting, but he found it suddenly. Almost 52 years later, his mother's death, who biddest me, and this welcome guest, this painting bids me. Bid means order, command. So it commands me honor with an artless song. The poet says that he feels that the painting wants me to write an immortal kind of song which is artless. What is art? Why the poet writes artless? Artless means sincere. There is no artificiality. Art से बना artificial. So it will be an artless, means there will be no artificiality. It will be a sincere kind of expression. It will be a sincere kind of song, affectionate. A song which will be affectionate. A mother lost so long, I will obey. When he feels that the painting seems to order him, command him to write a sincere kind of poem, so he says, I will obey. I'll obey the command, not willingly alone, not only willingly, but gladly. He will be very happy to do it, as the precept were her own. Precept means order, as if it were her own order. It were the order of his mother only. And while that face renews my filial grief, while that face, the mother's face, renews my filial grief. Grief means sorrow, filial means mother's. Mother's sorrow is renewed. Fancy shall weave a charm for my relief. Fancy means imagination. The poet says that although my grief is renewed, but my imagination will weave a charm. Charm means magic for my relief, and it will give me relief. Steep me, it shall steep me in Elysian reverie. Elysian is heavenly. Reverie means daydreaming. मैं एक ऐसे दिवा स्वप्न में डूब जाऊंगा. Steep means to soak, डूबना. मैं ऐसे डूब जाऊंगा. A momentary dream. It will be a momentary dream for me that thou art she. That he says that for a time being he will forget that it is a portrait. He will remember that with his he is with his mother only. So the portrait in his fancy, in his imagination, will turn into a reality. It will turn into a real being. My mother. Now you can imagine that the poet has forgotten that he is in front of the painting. He feels as if he is there with his mother. Ah, my mother, whom I learnt that thou wast dead. When I learnt, when I came to know that you were dead, you were no more, say, wast thou. Wast is actually old form of was or were. So here we will use were. Say, were thou. Thou means you. Were you conscious of the tears I shed? He asked a question from his mother, that when I came to know that you were no more alive, I started weeping. But when I was weeping, when I was shedding tears, were you aware of this? Did you know that I was weeping? Hovered your spirit. Hover means मंडराना. Hovered thy spirit. तुम्हारी आत्मा क्या मंडरा रही थी? Over thy sorrowing son, over thy grieving son, weeping son. Wretched even then. Wretch even then. Wretch means miserable, unfortunate, unlucky. Miserable even then. Life's journey just begun. When his journey for life had just begun, wasn't it very sorrowful for me? Perhaps you gavest me, though unseen, a kiss. Perhaps you must have given me a kiss, though unseen, because souls are not visible, but still, if souls can kiss, the mother must have kissed him. Perhaps a tear. Maybe you have also shed a tear. If souls can weep in bliss. Bliss is actually a state of perfectly happy condition. And when you die, when you turn into soul, when you turn into a spirit, the poet believes, as he is religious, and we are told that when a person is no more in the boundaries of body, he becomes perfectly happy. There will be no sorrows thereafter. So he says, if souls can weep in bliss, means when soul has no sorrow, still for her child the mother must have shed some tear. Ah, that maternal smile. He once again sees the smile on the lips of his mother. It answers yes. And this smile makes the poet believe that the mother gives affirmative answers to his questions, that she kissed also and she shed tears also for the grieving child when she died. I heard the bell tolled on thy burial day. The day mother was being buried, that day, the poet says that I heard the bell tolled. Actually, when the dead bodies of Christians are taken for funeral, for the burial, the body is taken into a hearsay. Hearsay is a van which carries the dead body in coffin, and it has a bell which tolls. Toll means the death bell. मृत्यु के टाइम जो बजाई जाती है वो घंटी. तो आई हर्ड द बेल टोल्ड on thy burial day, and I saw the hearsay. Hearsay means the van which carries the dead body that bore you slowly away in the funeral procession, and turning from my nursery's window. मैं अपनी नर्सरी की विंडो से टर्न करा मैंने, and drew a long long sigh when he saw the hearsay go towards the churchyard. He turned around and sighed long, long, and wept a last adieu. Adieu means farewell. अंतिम विदा मैंने उस वक्त कही थी अपने आंसुओं से. आई wept. But was it such? क्या ऐसा था? Could I say that it was a final adieu? A farewell था? It was. Where thou art gone, where you are gone, adieus and farewells are a sound unknown. तुम जहाँ गई हो, तुम कहाँ गई हो? The mother is gone to heaven, and in heaven there are no farewells, there are no adieus. वहाँ अंत नहीं है, इसलिए farewell भी नहीं है. No adieus. May I but meet thee on that peaceful shore. काश मैं तुमको उस पीसफुल शोर यानी हेवन पे मिल सकता. द पार्टिंग साउंड shall pass my lips no more. Then these adieus, farewells, bye bye के sounds, they will never pass my lips anymore. Thy maidens grieved themselves at my concern. Thy maidens means the young ladies who came at the time of the death. The maidens grieved themselves. They were also weeping. They were crying. Why they were crying? At my concern. Because they were conscious, they were sensitive to know that this child is left all alone at the age of 6 only. So at my concern, they were grieving, often gave me promise of a quick return. And these ladies or maids, they gave me promise of a quick return, that your mother will come soon. What ardently I wished, and your return was what I ardently wished or desired. Ardently means passionately. Very strongly I wished that you should come back. I long believed, and I believed for a very long period that you will come back, and disappointed still. And always I was disappointed, was still deceived, but still he continued to be deceived. हमेशा धोखा खाता रहा इस बात के लिए. किसके कारण? By disappointment, every day beguiled. Beguiled means deceived. Dupe of tomorrow, even from a child. From the very childhood, I became a dupe of tomorrow. Dupe means शिकार, a prey of tomorrow. हमेशा कल का शिकार होता रहा. मुझे हमेशा ये दिलासा दिया जाता रहा कि your mother will come tomorrow, your mother will come tomorrow. तो he became a prey of tomorrow. He became a dupe of tomorrow even when he was a small child. Thus, in this manner, many a sad tomorrow came and went. कब तक? Till all my stock of infant sorrow spent. The infant means child. The child's sorrow was spent. The stock of infant sorrow was spent. Slowly, gradually, the child understood that the mother will not come. I learned at last. What did he learn? Submission to my lot. Submission means surrender. He ultimately surrendered to his lot. Lot means destiny, fate, bhagya. But though I less deplored thee, and then gradually he less deplored her. Deplore means lament or weep for her, never forgot. Although I stopped crying, I started crying less. कम रोता था, लेकिन I never forgot you, mother, where once we dwelt. Now he seems to be all lost, and he seems to be in a company of his mother. ऐसे लगता है जैसे वो अपनी माँ से बात कर रहा है. माँ, where once we dwelt, जहाँ हम लोग रहते थे. Dwell means live. Where once we lived, our name is heard no more. People do not remember us because we have left that house for a long period. Children, not thine, have trod my nursery floor. Children tread there, they walk there on my nursery floor, but they are not yours. Not thine. Thine मतलब yours. अब ऐसे बच्चे वहां रहते हैं जो तुम्हारे नहीं है, मतलब somebody else's children. एक्चुअली हिज फादर वॉज ए क्लर्जीमैन, और वो चर्च के किसी हाउस में रहते थे. एंड नाउ somebody else lives there, where the gardener Robin, he remembers the name of the gardener, where the gardener Robin day by day drew me to school along the public way. He remembers the routine of his school going, delighted with my bauble coach, play cart. एक जब वो स्कूल जाता था तो he would be happy to draw the bauble cart, that is to say the play cart, and wrapped in scarlet mantle, warm, or I would be covered in a scarlet colors warm mantle. मेरे गर्दन पर लपेटा हुआ रहता था एक स्कार्फ, वेलवेट कैप्ड, और सर पे वेलवेट की कैप होती थी. बिकॉज इंग्लैंड इज ए वेरी कोल्ड कंट्री. इट इज़ नाउ बिकम ए हिस्ट्री. अब तो ये इतिहास बन गया है. This, that we lived there and I used to go to school, this has become a history little known. Nobody knows this. That once we called the pastoral house our own. क्या हिस्ट्री हो गया है? That once we called that pastoral house means एक pastoral means the house of a clergyman. The pastoral house, the house of the clergyman, जिसको हम अपना कहते थे, it has become a history. Short lived possession. वो घर जो था, वो यादें जो हैं, वो short lived possession था. But the record fair, लेकिन इसका record, beautiful record that memory keeps, memory आज भी रखे है, of all thy kindness there. वहाँ जो भी generosity, जो भी kindness, जो भी दया, जो ममता वहाँ माँ ने दिखाई, वो सब आज भी इंटैक्ट है. स्टिल आउटलिव्स, आज भी जीवित है, और इट आउटलिव्स. आउटलिव मीन्स लिव मोर. किससे ज़्यादा जी रही है? मैनी ए स्टॉर्म दैट हैज़ इफेस्ड ए 1000 अदर थीम्स. बहुत सारी यादें हैं, 1000 अदर थीम्स हैं यादों की, लेकिन दीज other memories are effaced. Effaced means erased or cleared. साफ हो गई हैं बहुत सारी हजारों यादें. किसके कारण? बिकॉज ऑफ मैनी ए स्टॉर्म. बहुत सारे जीवन में तूफान आए, उनके कारण. और ये यादें कैसी है? ए 1000 अदर थीम्स विच वर लेस डीपली ट्रेस्ड, जो कम गहराई से उकेरी गई थी मेरी मेमोरी में. लेस इज ए कंपैरेटिव वर्ड, तो इट इज ए कंपैरिजन विद द memory of his mother. He says, your memories are still intact because they are deeply traced, but other thousand themes or the memories have been erased. They are effaced. वो साफ हो गई हैं. और ये क्या क्या मेमोरी है? लेट अस सी. The nightly, thy means your nightly visits to my chamber maid. You used to come to my chamber, to my room at night. किस लिए आती थी तुम मेरे कमरे में? दैट यू माइटेस्ट नो मी सेफ एंड वार्मली लेड, कि मैं ठीक से सो रहा हूँ, सेफ हूँ, एंड वार्मली लेड, मुझे कंबल क्विल्ट वगैरह सब ठीक से उड़ाई गई है. एंड आई एम सेफ. टू नो दिस मीन्स टू बी श्योर दैट आई वॉज सेफ एंड आई वॉज वार्मली कवर्ड. Thy morning bounties. Bounties means gifts. Your morning gifts are. Are means before I left my home, perhaps to school. Before leaving to school, mother would always give her some morning gifts. क्या होता था उस गिफ्ट्स में? द बिस्किट और कन्फेक्शनरी प्लम. कन्फेक्शनरी से यानी बेकरी से कुछ प्लम, कुछ स्वीट्स जो वो लाती थी, she would give to the child. The fragrant waters on my cheeks bestowed by thy own hand. माँ जब नहलाती थी बच्चे को, तो you would rub the fragrant water. Fragrant means खुशबूदार. Scented water you bestowed. Bestow means give. तुम डालती थी on my cheeks by your own hands. कब तक? Till fresh they shone and glowed. Glow means चमकना. मेरे गाल जब चमक उठते थे तब तक. All these memories and more endearing still than all. इन सबसे ज़्यादा जो मुझे endearing है, मीन्स लविंग है, वो है योर कॉन्स्टेंट फ्लो ऑफ लव दैट न्यू नो फॉल. सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात यह है कि योर कॉन्स्टेंट फ्लो ऑफ लव. कॉन्स्टेंट मीन्स कंटिन्यूअस. फ्लो ऑफ लव दैट न्यू नो फॉल, उसमें कोई उतार चढ़ाव नहीं था. जनरली इट इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू मेंटेन द कॉन्स्टेंट फ्लो ऑफ लव, कि कोई उतार चढ़ाव नहीं हो, कभी ना कभी गुस्सा आ ही जाता है. But the child says he never had a memory of mother's angry moments, that his mother has angered upon him. Thy constant flow of love that knew no fall, never roughened, कभी भी रफ नहीं हुई, by those cataracts and breaks that humor interpose too often makes. कैटरैक्ट्स एंड ब्रेक्स स्टॉर्म्स के लिए यूज किया जाता है. तो यू वर नेवर रफंड बाई दोज स्टॉर्म्स दैट ह्यूमर मीन्स मूड्स. यहाँ पे ह्यूमर का मतलब मूड से है, कि जनरली क्या होता है, मूड्स के कारण मूड्स इंटरपोज मीन्स पुट. ऑफन, टू ऑफन मेक्स. जनरली मूड्स स्विंग करते हैं, और मूड्स के अकॉर्डिंग समटाइम्स we are roughened, our attitude, our conduct is roughened. But he says that my mother had no fluctuations of moods. Her love was constant, it was always the same. All this is still legible, it is readable. Legible means readable in memory's page. In the book of memory it is all readable, and still to be so, and it will remain so. कब तक? टू माई लास्ट एज, टू माई लेटेस्ट एज. जितना मैं जीऊंगा तब तक, अंतिम सांस तक, टू माई लास्ट ब्रेथ. एंड देयरफॉर ही सेज एड्स जॉय टू ड्यूटी. Therefore, writing this poem becomes a joy. It may be a duty also, but this duty is added with joy. It makes me glad, it makes me happy to pay such honors to thee as my numbers may. As my numbers means lyrics, poems. As my poem may, जैसा ऑनर मेरी पोएम कैन पे टू यू, आई एम वेरी हैप्पी दैट आई एम एबल टू गिव इट. Perhaps a frail memorial. Critics may find it a weak kind of memorial. Memorial is actually something written in memory, something created in memory of someone. So it may be a frail memorial in the eyes of the critics. लिटरेचर के जो बहुत जानकार हैं, जो critics हैं, they may find it a frail memorial. It may be a weak memorial, but the poet claims that it is sincere. मेरी कविता कमज़ोर हो सकती है टेक्निकल लेवल पे, लेकिन इमोशनल लेवल पे इट इज़ वेरी सिंसियर. नॉट स्कोर्न्ड इन हेवन. धरती पे क्रिटिक्स में क्रिटिसाइज इट, बट इट विल नॉट बी स्कोर्न्ड, इट विल नॉट बी क्रिटिसाइज्ड इन हेवन, दो लिटिल नोटिस्ड हियर. It may be little noticed here on this earth, but in heaven means the angels, God, they will definitely appreciate my sincerity in writing this poem. So, we take a break here. We will continue from this portion tomorrow. Rest of the poem we will do tomorrow.